Thanks for this call, Jeff. Take care and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hi, my name is Roselyne. I am the product line manager of KNOWLES at SELTECH. It's nice to see so many of you joining our Sensor Converge SELTECH virtual event. It's time to start our webinar. Giulio, what is the plan for today?
Hi Roselyne. Hi everyone. This afternoon we will have our partners and friends from KNOWLES. When it comes to true wireless earphones, sound quality has been the #1 purchase driver for several years. Now that HD audio streaming has come mainstream, manufacturers of true wireless earphones are rushing to catch back. In this webinar, Andrew Bellavia of KNOWLES will explain how the infrastructure to deliver mobile premium sound has come together and share some examples of true wireless headphones that deliver the sound quality consumers demand. We will now leave Paris to join the windy city of Chicago, where KNOWLES is based. So take a nice cup of coffee, relax, not too much, and enjoy the webinar and stay safe. So, hi Andy. Thanks for taking the time to share your knowledge with us. The platform is yours.
Thank you, Rosalind and Giulio. You don't know how much I want to play on that foosball table again after a couple of years hiatus. Thank you everyone for joining. This is a pleasure to talk about the latest in HD audio with true wireless earphones. A lot has happened in the last months, and I think there's plenty for us to talk about. Let me share my screen. Okay, we're set. Now, as I mentioned, I had done a similar presentation in January, and I started that one out by sharing the Qualcomm State of Play report from 2020 and how sound quality was the #1 purchase criteria when choosing wireless earphones. That still remains true. In fact, that's actually been true for several years, but so much has happened since then that I would like to share. In particular, it's what's happening in the streaming services. In February, Spotify announced their service with a big splash, having Billie Eilish and the whole publicity event. And in it, they said that high quality music streaming was consistently one of the most requested new features by their users. And then since then, Apple announced their high def audio service for free, meaning no extra charge compared to their standard streaming music service. And within 24 hours, Amazon announced the same, that they would take away the surcharge for HD audio. Now, Spotify, we don't yet know because their service isn't released yet, but you can see where all this is going, that HD audio will be available for everyone, for the most part at least, without extra charge. And because of that, we believe HD audio is going to become standard, that basically everybody is going to move towards HD audio streaming. And what does that mean? According to Qualcomm's new report for this year, which was just released earlier this month, right now only 5% of the people who have a streaming service are listening to HD, but almost 60% of them say they're likely to subscribe in the future. With all the mainstream services offering it, and in many cases at no extra charge, why not? But it also means that people will be choosing HD capable earbuds. So right now, according to Qualcomm, about half of the respondents are seeking high resolution or lossless audio quality. So people are going to stream HD, and they're going to want HD capable true wireless earbuds. And as a result of that, people who do not offer HD in their true wireless in the future are going to miss all the growth in this category. Now, there's one other piece of the puzzle here, and that's the Bluetooth codec. So let's compare to CD. It's kind of the baseline standard for true HD because it's completely lossless. With a bit depth of 16 and a sampling rate of 44.1 kilohertz, that's more or less what people consider to be the bottom of true HD. Now, if you look at the bit rate required to achieve that, you simply take 16 times 44.1 times 2 because it's stereo, and you get about 1.4 megabits per second. So that's a lossless capable digitization process. Now, the original codecs for Bluetooth, SBC and then the AAC standard, their bit rate was actually pretty low in comparison, roughly a quarter of that. Actually even a little bit less than a quarter. So a high degree of compression was necessary for those. And the compression algorithms have gotten pretty good, but still you are leaving data out, you are leaving some of the subtler aspects of the music out. Now, newer codecs had been introduced, Sony with LDAC, and then Huawei originally with LHDC, which is now also operated by an open consortium. Qualcomm has Snapdragon Sound, all getting closer to the 1.4 megabits. Now, when you have the higher bitrate capability, you can manage that in different ways. One can, for example, have larger words, more bit depth. One can have a higher sampling rate in exchange for a little more compression. Or one can go more like CD quality, 16 and 44.1 and less compression. And there's always some discussion back and forth on exactly which is better, but there's no question that having a higher bit rate is going to get you closer to the original music experience. And so up to the present time, you couldn't quite get lossless, but you could get closer, close enough so that when streaming HD audio, you can tell the difference with one of the better codecs than with the original. And there is some debate about that, but one also has to consider the source of the music, because some music is itself highly compressed. That is, the lower end of the quieter passages in the music are raised up and the louder may be compressed down a little bit. So the gap between quiet and loud is narrower. This makes the music sound louder. This goes back years where people wanted their song to pop and be more noticeable. And so you get into what multiple people have called the loudness war. Well, if the music you're listening to is highly compressed, you'll notice less difference streaming it with an HD stream versus a standard stream. But if you listen to music with the full dynamic range, it's easier to tell the difference between them. And so this is driving the music quality back upward again from the original days when we used to listen to CDs, then went to compressed music streaming or downloading of MP3s. We lost a lot, and now everything is coming together to put it back again and deliver a higher quality audio experience in true wireless earbuds. The most recent announcement, however, comes from Qualcomm just this month, in which they announced support for lossless CD quality over Bluetooth. So Qualcomm can now deliver 16 bits, 44.1 kilohertz sample rate, the full no compression experience. And so today you can deliver a better musical experience with HD audio streaming, and soon you'll be able to deliver completely lossless musical experience. We're really getting to an HD audio future in true wireless. Now, when I look at the survey results of a completely different company, this is from Sonova's recent Investor Day presentation, which can be publicly downloaded. They did a similar kind of survey, and they broke it in half between consumers without hearing loss and consumers with hearing loss. And Sonova is one of the largest hearing health companies in the world. So, it's a hearing health company. Now, they have wearing comfort highest on the list, but immediately below that is hi-fi sound quality. And the ranking is almost identical between people without hearing loss and people with hearing loss, which again speaks to the fact that people want a better music listening experience. And whether or not they have hearing loss doesn't really factor into their desire. They still want to enjoy something that's, more like studio quality music. And this is going to come up again in a moment. Now, they recently bought Sennheiser, and so they've got that chart divided up saying, what is each company's strength? And the fact that you see Sonova and Sennheiser intermixed here on the different top desires for true wireless earbuds says a lot about the overall fusion between a hearing device and a consumer true wireless device. Now, people are getting all kinds of messages around premium music experience and how to obtain it. If you think about home audio and televisions and sound bars, this sort of thing, home stereo systems, people always talk about the speakers and in fact multiple drivers. This one, for example, the Sennheiser soundbar, talking about the 5 high-end tweeters that deliver high fidelity sound. So this is a sort of message that consumers see all the time and can relate it to true wireless earbuds as well. I'll give you some other examples. This is the Amazon Echo. Now, this isn't the expensive one. This is the base Echo, in which Amazon talks about the woofer tweeter combination delivering rich, detailed sound. And more recently, there was a Rolling Stone article that was written at the time of Apple's Hi-Fi music service launch, talking about which earphones and headphones would be best for listening. And they point out at a multi-driver earphone where you have a woofer, mid-range, and tweeter will give you a better listening experience, the results of which you should notice immediately. And even more recently than that, with the launch of SoundPete's device, and this is a device with a 2-speaker system, a hybrid with a dynamic woofer and a balanced armature tweeter and a high-res codec. And Mark Sparrow Forbes wrote, and he was kind enough to refer to Knowles as offering the balanced armature tweeter, but he talks about the hybrid configuration specifically, where the dynamic woofer and the balanced armature tweeter each plays to its strength to deliver superb definition. And if we take a step back, how did this come about and how does it fit in the overall true wireless development? Go back to the beginning with the first companies that made true wireless. I mean, it was just about cutting the cord in the first place. Bragi Dash is a great example. They're not making hardware today, but there's also Erin, who still is. They were the first two, one right after the other. And it was true wireless, but the battery life was only okay, and there were dropouts and connectivity issues. Others worked on that, and things got a little bit better, but it really cracked open when Apple released the AirPods, the original AirPods. I mean, they're the first ones to have delivered a really satisfying user experience. Pairing was super fast, connectivity was flawless, battery life at 5 hours at that time, was quite good and definitely acceptable for people, and the category took off. Then you got ANC with Sony and Apple at about the same time a couple of years ago. And also in 2019, you saw the first premium sound true wireless device coming from Anker's music earphone group called Soundcore. They created a hybrid driver system. They had it tuned for good music quality. They do hearing personalization. So first really premium sound true wireless device. And now in 2021, all the technology is there for the complete package. These are two new devices released this year, Edifiers Neobuds Pro and Bowers & Wilkins PI7. They both have hybrid drivers. They both use an active crossover, so the woofer and the tweeter are each driven by their own amplifier, like you'll find in home speaker systems. They're both using one of the high-res codecs. They both have ANC, and they both have transparency, meaning you can turn on the microphones and hear what's going on around you. So these are really devices that can be worn out and about in different situations. You can kill the noise to listen in quiet, like when on the metro, for example, or you can open up the microphones to hear what's around you when you need to be aware of your surroundings. And each one is using a different codec. Edifiers has LHDC now, and by software update, they'll have LDEC. And then later this year, a Snapdragon sound version, and Bowers & Wilkins went with aptX Adaptive. So these are really the new breed of devices that can deliver a good experience in various use cases, including premium sound. Now, ANC is really almost standard now. Going forward, nothing but the lowest price devices are not going to have ANC. It's one of the top customer demands outside of premium sound. And so with ANC becoming more and more popular, premium sound is really the next differentiator, especially with the HD music services offering at no extra charge. Now, the Edifier is in soft launch mode right now, but the Bowers and Wilkins has been out. And so the Bowers and Wilkins has gotten some reviews, and you can see what people are saying about it. Rolling Stone again, talking about how the sound is magnificent and an order of magnitude better than what this reviewer came to expect from true wireless earbuds. And TechRate are very similar, with extraordinarily explicit and complete sound, almost flawlessly accomplished product. And both of these, again, are hybrids, which is becoming the preferred speaker setup for HD audio true wireless earbuds. And I'll show you a bit why that is. So when you think about HD audio, the difference is most noticeable in the treble. If you're lacking treble, you're going to miss that sparkle and that air in the treble, the clarity, which really makes the music sound alive. You don't notice the difference between an HD audio stream and a standard audio stream if you're lacking in treble. Now, since most earphones are having ANC these days, one also has to account for supplying that. Now, a dynamic speaker has lots of bass power, and for ANC, you really need that. You need lots of output capability in the bass region so you can drive both the music and the anti-noise signal to cancel out the noise for ANC systems. And so you really get the best of both worlds when you go with a dynamic woofer and a BA tweeter combination. If the woofer is concentrating on the bass or the bass in the mid-range, it can be designed accordingly, which can make it a little bit smaller and more efficient. And leaving the treble to the balanced armature driver gives you great clarity all the way out as far as you want to go. You can go out to 40 kilohertz with a Knowles tweeter. And so you get a device which is in a very similar form factor to an ordinary single speaker unit. You get that kind of bass energy, which allows you to give that kind of warm bass that people, sometimes prefer. You can have some vent to give it a more open feeling, less occlusion feeling, and you can drive ANC out of the speaker. The ANC tuning is the same as with the speaker by itself, so there's nothing special there. Makes it very, very easy to implement. And here I show the kind of X-ray view of the Anger product, which continues to get really good sound quality ratings to this day with this setup. Now, another part about having all that energy in the treble is surrounding hearing. So I want to go back to the Sonova Investor Day presentation, because if you look at the very bottom, invisibility of device when worn got a 2 rating versus 15 for wearing comfort and 14 for sound quality. In other words, fewer and fewer people care that you can see the earbuds in your ears. Now, I think this has a lot of positive effects. One of them is it's a symbol of the breakdown of stigma around hearing loss. Now, this is from a hearing health company who has spent years upon years trying to make their devices more discreet. And now we're getting to the point where people are less concerned about discreet. In fact, the major hearing aid companies are all offering medical grade hearing aids that look like true wireless earbuds. And so what it means is that we are getting increasingly used to seeing people in public with things in their ears, and we have really no idea what they're for. Are they listening to a podcast? Are they hearing impaired and using it as a hearing aid, or anything in between? So it's just the lines are blurring and it doesn't matter so much anymore. So this has another effect too. I'm going to go back to the Qualcomm State of Sound report and note that these are advanced features that will have a likely impact on the next TWS earbud purchase. And ANC is at the top of the list. Again, it's really going to become a de facto standard that you're going to have ANC except in the most inexpensive models. And then you also see right up there near the top, and they break it in half. I don't know exactly how to distinguish the two of them as a result of the survey questions, but you see people very high demand for HD music or lossless. Okay, I kind of lump those two together, but the demand is very, very high. But also notice you have right up there equal to HD music, you have hearing enhancement, and very close behind you have hearing personalization. So hearing enhancement refers to being able to hear better, especially in difficult situations. So if I'm wearing my earbuds that have hearing enhancement features and I walk into a loud restaurant, I can put them in restaurant mode. It enables me to hear my companions better, even for people without diagnosis of hearing loss. And hearing personalization is tuning the earbuds for music to compensate for your individual hearing profile. So you see that people want their HD music and they want to hear the whole experience regardless of their hearing capability. And what does that mean? Really take it into context of the average hearing loss versus age group. So on average, people 35 years old and under, pretty flat hearing response. By the time you get into your 40s, now this green line and even the yellow line would not result in the diagnosis of hearing loss because in the vocal range, hearing is still within the limits, but the treble is falling off considerably. So this person, say a 50-year-old person on the average line, and trust me, 50-year-old people really want to listen to their music in the best quality too, the treble is falling off pretty rapidly. And if you want to deliver a true HD audio experience, you need to boost that treble to put it back. But you see, you're starting to talk about some pretty high gains there, 20, 30, 40 dB within the audio spectrum on the treble side, even as high as 50 dB at 15 kilohertz. That's a lot. And if you're running with a single speaker, it may not be sensitive enough so that you can actually risk overloading the digital chain or amplifier trying to drive that much gain into the speaker. It also will cost power to do so. And so the way to make this happen in a more efficient way is, again, to go to the hybrid system. Now, the balanced armatures were originally developed for hearing aids, and then music versions were created originally for professional musicians and their in-ear monitors, and then for consumer earbuds. So there's a long history of being able to deliver a lot of output in a small size with less power. So here's another example of a typical 8mm dynamic speaker and the output of a KNOWLES balanced armature tweeter. Look at all that gain all the way out to 40 kilohertz. What that means is you can drive the output necessary to do hearing personalization without overtaxing the system and without drawing too much battery power. And so the hybrid setup makes an ideal platform for delivering both ANC and HD audio with being able to personalize the audio. Now, let me explain a bit why the balanced armatures are so suited for this. An ordinary speaker, a dynamic speaker, is often called a moving coil speaker because a coil is attached to the moving diaphragm. Now, in very small sizes, one has to be careful because if the coil is too heavy, the speaker will not be responsive. There's too much mass to move, especially on the treble end. Also, the magnets are typically adjusted in batches. And so because of slight changes in each unit's mechanical assembly, you get a little bit more variation from unit to unit, and that has to be accounted for as well. Now, the balanced armature actually has a stationary coil. It's not moving at all. There is an armature or reed running through the middle of it. It's attached to a very slender drive rod, and from there to the diaphragm. So the moving mass is very light. And since the coil is not moving, a lot more copper, a lot more turns can be put there. So a very strong magnetic field is created in a very small size. So the output for a given size is much higher in a balanced armature driver. And so they run more efficiently. And also each magnet is individually adjusted. So audio will actually be played to the balanced armature while the magnetization takes place, and the magnetization is increased until the output level hits the target. So each one is individually tuned, so you get very good matching from unit to unit. Now, the principles of a BA equally apply for bass, mid-range, or treble, and that's in fact why professional musician in-ear monitors use all balanced armature systems, because the bass is very, very clear and precise, and a musician wants to hear exactly what it is their band is playing. But in the context of ANC, where you need lots of bass power to drive the ANC signal, it makes more sense to take advantage of the balanced armature principle for the treble, where you want all that clarity, and let the bass be handled by a dynamic speaker. Now, because we've been in the business of professional musician in-ear monitor drivers for a long time, we've developed a rather complete line of balanced armatures. In the context of true wireless, for discrete devices, we'll often talk about these small single drivers or the small two-way woofer tweeter BA combinations. And for hybrids, it's all about the tweeters. And we've been doing a lot of work on our tweeters to continuously improve and extend their frequency response. And in fact, we're not finished yet. We'll have more to say about that before the year is over. We also recently released a development platform, and this is very much a sandbox for developers of true wireless systems. We have a Bluetooth SoC, which comes from Qualcomm. We have Sony chip for ANC, and we have the KNOWLES dual core DSP, the audio DSP. And with this sandbox, people can develop all different kinds of use cases. For example, we have a couple of partners who've come in already. We have Elango, whose system is being used for clear voice pickup in any circumstance. So your own voice has excellent clarity in a loud restaurant, which allows you to have conversations and better use your voice assistant, even if it's noisy. Like on a train is another good example. And we also have Chatable, who has ANC or has an AI-based speech from noise extraction system. So without doing amplification, they're extracting speech out of the background noise so one can hear better in crowded places. So there's a group of partners already working on it, and the KNOWLES chip is an open DSP platform, so anybody can write advanced use cases for it. And so with this, one can write their software, try different use cases, tune it, and then make it ready for an actual true wireless device that can be produced according to the mechanical and acoustic design that's preferred. And so if any of you are interested in working with this development platform, we'd be glad to talk. And that's all I have for today. I will point out that we have a lot of resources online. You can reach either at seltech-international.com or at knowlespremiumsound.com. At Knowles, we also have a number of technical and market-oriented videos at vimeo.com/KnowlesCorp. And if you'd like to talk or engage with me directly, I'd be happy to. You can reach me on LinkedIn at Andrew Bellavia or on Twitter at AndyB_Knowles.